Welcome to Married to Movies. Industry insiders John Russell and Tracy Kring live and work happily in cinematrimony. They're sharing behind-the-scenes adventures of writing, producing, and appreciating films.
Good morning, babe.
Good morning, babe. How you doing?
I love Mondays.
That's a whole genre of song, which is I hate Mondays.
And Kathy, doesn't she hate Mondays?
She hates Mondays too. Bob Geldof with the Boomtown Rats, who did the song I Don't Like Mondays, which I always thought that was a very cool idea for a song because he's quoting a woman who was a mass shooter. And they asked... Right.
The first girl who shot people.
Yes.
Like first school shooting.
Yes. And they're like, why did you do it? And she's like, I don't like Mondays.
Yeah. But then isn't it weird that...
Maybe Kathy was a mass shooter and we just never knew it.
It's like if the mass shooter had like grown up and not gone to jail or something.
And had like bad hair and could never have a successful first date.
One of my favorite coffee cups I ever had was a Kathy coffee cup that said I hate Mondays.
There you go.
Oh, where did that thing go? You probably broke it.
No, I did not break it. Oh my God. You just think I break everything. And then when I break it, the first thing you say is, I can't have anything nice.
I just say that because it's funny.
It's such a terrible thing to say to a person. It makes them feel so fucking awful.
What is this week going to bring? There's so many places it could go.
That's true. Well, we heard this morning. We have something that we're working on in California. A new Oh, look, there's the deer jumping around. Oh, it's having so much fun.
He's literally frolicking.
He is full on frolicking. I'm fucking frolicking.
I'm fucking frolicking.
I'm fucking frolicking.
Yeah, I'm going to make that.
You're going to make the fucking frolicking t-shirt. Saw a new show last night.
Oh, God.
Oh, Tracy is in love.
Did you know? I always thought that female dingoes had a wiener hanging down.
Does this have anything to do with what I just said?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they don't. That's actually the clitoris.
Okay, there you go.
And did you know they give birth through that thing?
No, I did not.
It's like their lady parts on the inside or on the outside. Weird.
That's pretty weird.
So freaking weird.
That's
and they developed this way.
Okay.
That's what I saw. It was
that was what evolution intended. Dictoruses.
This show, I saw a TikTok ad immediately.
It's the new Tyler Sheridan show.
Lioness. This is a Tracy show. But I would say, like the dingo, that is what happened to me. Like those shows.
You're saying your clitoris enlarged when you saw that this show existed.
When I saw that show existed, I just was like, yes. I mean, I love like G.I. Jane kind of things and stuff like that. So anyway, I think, while Tyler Sheridan is a problem, like I think he doesn't believe in probably any of the stuff I believe in.
No, not at all. He is a Republican. He is a conservative. He is jingoistic. He is all about men and being cowboys and shooting guns but the shit that he writes,
the shit he makes is so good.
It's so cool, and his characters are so cool.
I don't know how the hell they're writing women like this. Oh man, like 1883, love it.
Loved it.
1923,
loved it more.
I didn't love it more, but I loved it. The female characters are actually really good. Well, I could live with a little bit more focus on them. The story share, I could live with a little percentage
Not
more.
in Lioness.
Not in Lioness, though. And Paramount Plus is like not pulling any punches. I mean, there's like nudity, but not like gross, like, oh, look at me, I'm sexy nudity.
No.
It's like, no, like we're getting beat up and shit.
Yeah.
And we're getting like waterboarded and...
Yeah, waterboarded.
Lionesses are like these badass women who befriend the women in the ecosphere of their assets.
It's weird because you've got to be this hard woman, but you have to befriend these like incredibly rich women who are like, at Beverly Hills stores, become their friend so that it gives you an opportunity to follow them. They get close to the target and then splat, they get taken care of. That may have not been the perfect description of the show, but I think you get the idea. It was long. I know, you get the idea, okay? That's what Zelensky says. He goes, "It's time for splat."
Zelensky?
Yes, Zelensky, like in the Ukraine. Oh. When they call it a drone strike.
It's time for splat.
It's time for splat.
Okay. There were several times where, I don't know, it just really showed through to the heart inside a woman.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And I think that men very rarely access that.
The mother-daughter conversation she had was such a real conversation because it never got to I love you, Mom. I love you too, daughter. Your little liberal heart is going to go, oh, I don't like this. Oh, I this is colonialism at its worst. Absolutely. But it's still badass.
I mean, it's not offensive to my politics, really,
Well, fuck terrorism in all of its, in all of its forms.
All terrorism.
All terrorism in all of its forms.
Speaking of terrorism, we were reading an article earlier about the streaming problems and striking and.
Are you calling the AMPTP not giving workers their rights? You're calling them terrorists, Tracy?
Am I calling them a terrorist organization?
Exactly.
Maybe. Was it in that show that they spoke about, like, how the organization that they're going after, the big bad guy in the show?
He is a prince who convinces other princes to focus on America as the big bad devil so that he can control $500 billion. The thing that I think that we are learning about capitalism is that there is such a thing as too much money. Like money that is wrong. You get to an amount of money and that money becomes wrong.
Wrong.
It's wrong.
It's inhumane.
It's an indication of wrongdoing. That if you're making a certain amount of money, it is proof of your criminal or heartless activity, and you're hurting people.
If you hurt people for long enough, they will die.
Mm-hmm.
And if you hurt enough people, some of them will die. So that's the thing, like, and you hear about Amazon and their workers and like how many problems they're starting to have because of, they're not allowed to sit and they're not allowed certain things. And because Amazon wants them shipping shit, and they're hurting and they're, instead of being able to ride around and pick stuff up, they're having to walk all these miles.
Unchecked capitalism is the enemy.
That's what all of these streaming people have decided that they want. They want to break the union. I mean, that seems like what they're going for.
Right.
They want a freelance gig economy for writers and actors.
The same way that Amazon and Google blew up, Netflix blew up. And the same way that Uber and Lyft and WeWork looked at Amazon and Google and went, okay, we can do that too.
Well,
and then they failed miserably.
Well,
that's what's happening with Disney Plus and Paramount and Peacock and all the other streamers that were trying to be Netflix.
Well, HBO and Cinemax used to be two different channels, but when they went to streaming, it became HBO and Cinemax, right?
Right, HBO Max, yeah. And now it's just Max.
But now HBO, Cinemax, and like all of the Discovery franchises are lumped in.
Right.
And the other day you said something so funny because I just saw that Paramount and Showtime have combined. I would rather just have Showtime. I would rather just have Paramount. I may not want to pay more to have both, to have them both. And actually Showtime left a package that I had signed up for where I got Spotify, Hulu, and Showtime. And Showtime kicked themselves out of that. So now I'm actually paying more on my Spotify thing.
Can we get to the funny thing that I said?
Okay, so the funny thing that you said was, it's like they're trying to invent this new thing. Cable.
Yes. I have this idea for something called cable.
Where all of these things combine back into one thing. Fucking cable. Mm-hmm. We already had that.
Yes.
It was already working. People were already making money. There was already a figured out avenue.
And that's another thing that the article said, that basically there was a working model that was making everybody happy that the entertainment industry had followed for years. And then they broke that model completely apart with streaming and have tried to sort of cobble together some other way of doing it, but they haven't changed the contracts. So it's like the entire business changed, but you're dealing with contracts that are basically from the 80s, and you're in 2023.
I think probably the contracts that they were writing had no conception of where all this was going. Because even when Netflix was just DVD mailing, I loved that, right? And then,
except we'd always forget to mail back the DVD.
Well, I do have one Netflix DVD still.
But one of the big points of the article that I really respected, and it's something that I've personally been talking about, especially in religion, is this idea of magical thinking. That basically that you can will a situation into a direction based on your incantation or what you say.
Well, you said it's like casting spells.
Well, it's exactly what magical thinking is. Okay? If you tell me you're manifesting something, you better tell me that you're burying a potato in the yard so that you can find a new love. It's exactly the same thing. And I know there are people who are going to disagree with this. I think one of them may be across from me right now.
I am.
But the idea of manifestation, the idea that because I say it, because I want it to happen, that it's going to come my way in some respect, you might as well be fucking Merlin.
Okay, well, I want to be fucking Merlin. Or Morgana.
Well, here's the thing. Merlin and Morgana did not exist.
Well, I'm manifesting them. Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about manifestation because coming from a religious background and you understand the idea of prayer. What is prayer but manifestation? Truly. Praying to something.
Right.
That will in turn respond to you with the energy you're requesting. Or, like in the case of like Christianity, they'll say, well, you didn't get what you prayed for, but you got what you needed.
Faith is what you believe about yourself. So if you know that there are people that are praying for you, okay, and there is positive energy that is coming your direction, then I do believe that there is a faith component. You can improve your healing mechanism within your body. I think that George Lucas nailed it when he called it the Force, okay? An energy that exists in the universe. It is neither positive nor negative, but you can tap into it.
Well, there is the bad side of the Force.
Okay, yes, there is a dark side of the Force.
Side.
Yeah, it's not really the dark side of the Force. It's just the Force. It's just your tapping into.
But they do call it the dark side.
Yeah, I understand that. But it's the dark side of the Force because they are dark. That's why when Palpatine fires, lightning out of his hands, Yoda fires lightning out of his hands too, okay? It's not like dark side of the Force has lightning hands and light side of the Force has water.
Wow, this is really attractive.
I'm just telling you.
So turned on. I'm sorry. If
my Dick Taurus is shriveling up.
Nothing gets me hotter than when my husband starts talking about Palpatine.
I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
No, and you would rather talk about that and not count that as magical thinking. It's something a dude invented.
Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, the graphic t-shirt store to outfit you for your next film set. Be the person wearing the t-shirt everyone asks, hey, where'd you get that shirt? Cast and crew alike love these inside jokes and filmmaking-inspired designs. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.
People might call it karma, if they wanted to.
You hate hearing about karma.
I understand. I feel like these are all the wrong word for something that we're trying to understand, okay? Because the thing about karma is that it is like there's a retribution, aspect to it. In other words, the universe knows that you're an asshole, so eventually it's going to punish you for your assholeness. And I don't believe that.
I think like the idea that there's something bigger than us is kind of like...
Oh, that's essential.
In the middle of my yard over there, right around the rocks and all the roots and stuff, there are like millions of living things over there.
Oh, yes.
And they have no idea I'm over here.
And there are millions of living things that are living on those millions of living things.
Yeah, and they none of them are aware that I exist. What I do affects them. But if I threw seed or food out there, like for the animals to eat, they might be like, "Ooh, look, manna from heaven!" A squirrel might come along and eat some of them.
So it's almost like we are gods to them.
But they don't even have an awareness that we exist. So I'm always like, well, I'm sure I'm a little thing living on a little thing living on a little thing in the middle of my yard to something else.
The whole Dr. Seuss Horton Hears a Who thing, where everything is
like on a snowflake.
Right.
I know there's something beyond me because there's something beyond other things that I am the beyond of.
See, it's a chicken and egg thing. Okay, let's say you quote, I'm going to manifest this. But if you go out and you work for it and then get it and then say, I got it because I manifested it.
It's something that I want, but the want for it like comes from my creativity or my own energy. Right? So I'm saying I'm going to combine my energy and try to plug it in to the energy that's going on around me.
To me, it's like electricity. Yes, we do create electricity, but there's also static electricity. There's this idea and there's lightning, which is obviously electricity. Now, lightning could start a forest fire, or lightning could, start a heart. Okay, I mean, lightning has no personality. Lightning has no character. So you can't say lightning is good or lightning is bad. And that's the way I see all of these things that we talk about, karma or manifestation, or even God sometimes. Prayer, whatever. This is just power that exists. Power that we don't really understand how to tap into, but sometimes we accidentally do.
I believe in like this idea cloud.
Right.
And there's an idea cloud covering the whole planet. Mm-hmm. And sometimes little ideas get downloaded into you. But I believe they're downloaded into many people at the same time.
Yes.
It's almost like the circumstance of the planet calls for this idea's birth.
Right.
And maybe it gets downloaded into 50 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. I don't know how many people. I'm not the only one.
Well, they kind of had a really interesting version of that in Close Encounters. Because remember, they had the conversation that all of these people were called by the aliens in Close Encounters to go to Devil's Tower.
Right.
But what he said was, maybe some of them didn't see the television program. They didn't see the picture. Some of them didn't make the connection. But these are the people that actually made it.
Rick Rubin was talking about the fact that, once you have an idea, and if you don't see it to its conclusion, that it will just be done by some other creator.
I think that's 100% true.
So once you claim that idea as your own and you start putting energy towards that idea to manifest it, to make it happen.
Right.
Then it is like, I say it's like a race to see who gets it first.
I believe in the supernatural, but I believe...
Really?
Well, I do in the sense of that the natural can be souped up, okay? The natural exists. You talk about the idea cloud. Well, there are people who would say, well, that idea cloud comes from the fact that, when you have 8 billion people on the planet and everybody happens to see the same thing and the same set of things and the circumstances and people that have similar, then it would make sense that all of those ideas would click in the same way for those people.
Right.
Okay, right. So that's the natural aspect of it. Okay, the super aspect of it, the souped up version of that is the, kind of like what you bring to the table, who you are, your experiences, your passion. And time and chance. The luck factor becomes very, very, very high.
I decided that if I have an idea, I'm just going to immediately breathe life into it. One thing I noticed about starting everything, like just really emptying your cup out. And I would think before more of a scarcity mentality, that if I emptied my cup out, then I would be an empty cup. I keep getting refilled. Whatever I'm going through or whatever I'm thinking or whatever I'm learning or whatever is refilling the cup. And then I'm able to water the plants I have.
Nature abhors a vacuum.
Right.
I'm
trying to create a vacuum.
Right.
Every day.
The idea that something is going to fill the space and that you have to sometimes create the vacuum so that something new and interesting will come.
And that's kind of manifesting because like yesterday we were talking about our finances and what our gap was and where we were going to have to start working to fill in the gap. A couple days before that we were talking about the gap and then it got filled with some money, right?
Right.
And then today you get a text from someone and they're filling the gap with money. We didn't reach out to them.
No.
We just told the world we've got a vacuum. Mm-hmm. We spoke it out loud. We created a vacuum. I mean, it's your own philosophy.
I understand that.
Well, if nature abhors a vacuum and you create a vacuum...
But the problem with that in your scenario is that who is fucking hearing that?
The world.
The world.
All this energy.
Okay. Okay.
They say that there's probably 30,000 times more dark matter that we can't see that's filling us. Mm-hmm. Than what we can see. Mm-hmm. I mean, even like birds and fucking bugs see in spectrums that we don't see. Dogs see in spectrums. They hear and smell in spectrums we can't.
The many negative things that I feel about living a life basically of quote unquote magical thinking is that it brings shame.
I think you're afraid that if you create the vacuum, if you create the need, if you speak to the universe what you want and need, that it won't come to your aid. And I think it's out of fear.
No, not in the least.
You just said it was shame.
I'm saying that it is shame.
The shame of not getting it.
Because all of a sudden you're blaming yourself or you're blaming your own manifestation. It's like people who believe in faith healing or faith teaching, and you don't have enough faith for your healing or something to take place, and all you're doing is adding guilt onto the whole process.
Maybe the shame should create confusion, okay? Maybe that could be like, hey, I said I needed this thing. I said I needed $500. I created a vacuum. I told the ethos I needed this. I started working towards a way to get it, but nothing's happening. That should create a paradox in you, right? I'm asking for something. I have the abilities to do this thing. Why am I not finding it? And that should lead you to more inner reflection, saying, well, maybe I can try this. Maybe I should change that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't have the talent in that area, but I do in this other area. Like, there's no self-reflection. I mean, that is part of the process.
I understand, but self-reflection is not shame. Shame is that
I think shame is the avoidance.
I have done something wrong.
No, shame avoids the reflection.
Well,
to feel shame avoids that process.
I agree.
And the second you feel shame, you should start reflecting.
Shame is what I feel to hurt myself.
Right. To stay where you're at.
Because circumstances are not working out the way I wanted them
to. Shame is like a little beetle who balls up in the face of adversity and he protects himself. Shame is a fear mechanism.
The more that we're like, we control our circumstances, the more the world is basically going to tell you that you cannot control everything. You cannot control your circumstances.
I couldn't disagree more.
I mean, you can control how you react to your circumstances. That's the control you have.
I couldn't disagree more.
But you're not somebody who can control whether or not your car is going to start or if somebody's going to run a red light and hit you. You can't control those things. Chaos happens.
Yes, time and chance happens to everybody.
Yes.
But
it's your reaction that you can control.
No, it's also the time and chance that I can control. Yes, I can. I am in control. I know right now we need an oil change. Exactly. I know that there is a time and chance reaction to not getting an oil change.
Absolutely.
And if I continue to ignore that, or if I cheap out and get a conventional one for my vehicle instead of a synthetic one, or all of these micro decisions I'm making, time and chance are building up behind it.
Yeah, you're loading more bullets into your gun.
Yeah, so it's my time and my chance.
Absolutely.
I'm always in control of it.
Absolutely. In that respect.
I had a friend who was the mother of my friend, and I saw that she had puppies on Facebook, and I was like, your brother had just lost his dog a few months ago, and they might have been in a position to get a cute little puppy, a little Frenchie puppy. So when they were here, I told him about my friend's mom having Frenchie puppies, and he was like, oh, I don't know how I would get it home, but I would take one. So I reached out to her, and then I saw, I was like, well, I just wanted to make sure. But I was like, well, I'll just reach out to my friend.
Right.
And ask him, does your mom still have the puppies, right?
Right.
But then I saw he was friends with another person. Same name, but like missing one name, like missing her maiden name. And so I looked at her and I messaged her too. Because I was like, I don't know. Maybe she lost her password. And then she reached out to me and said her Facebook had been hijacked. There was scammers and there were never any puppies. And people were like reaching out to her and saying like, where's my puppy?
There's never any puppies.
I see the deer eating raspberries.
I'm very happy for it.
Well, I was wondering, do they eat them? And I think they're eating them now.
I think this has been a very spirited discussion. And I think that we're actually very, very close to each other. On this point, I just think that really the definition of manifestation is almost like trying to have the definition of God or the definition of faith.
I think it's funny how your religion comes out.
My religion.
You will be, and I mean religious not in the sense of like going to church. I'm talking about the rigidity of your beliefs.
I do not have a rigidity of beliefs.
Well, you said you absolutely don't believe in manifestation at the beginning of this. And now you're saying, well, if you're talking about manifestation in that way, then I could believe in it. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. But then you're given an example and you're like, well, I might believe that. Then that knee-jerk reaction is kind of rigid.
I think by definition, what you just said is that it's not rigid because I can be
but why is your first response rigid? But why is your first response rigidity?
Because
not I don't know. There's so many fucking possibilities out there. It's all possible.
I 100% believe that. What Shakespeare said, there's more than heaven and earth than is dreamt of in your philosophy. I 100% believe that. Okay, to be continued. And she doubts the moon landing, folks. Okay, that's fine. You wanted me to go there. I went there.
I like a certain amount of conspiracy in my life.
Okay. I love you, Ben.
I love you. No. I am more than happy to have these conversations.
I am more than happy to be wrong. I hope you're more than happy to be wrong, too.
Hey, I'm more than happy to be anything. Whatever works.
I love Mondays.
It's hard not to get romantic about movies. Thanks for listening to Married to Movies. Jon and Tracy will meet you for breakfast tomorrow. Thanks to our sponsor, Movie Mode Merch, comfortable graphic tees made by and for awesome filmmakers to wear on set and off. Check them out on Insta at Movie Mode Merch.